Welcome to the first episode of the This Is Awesome podcast. I am your host, Nathan Parker. Welcome. Thank you for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I just want to start with a quick introduction, a little bit about myself for the first episode. Like I said, my name is Nathan. I'm 22 years old. I've been a professional wrestling fan since I was 8. So I've been watching for 14 years. My first wrestling show that I ever went to was WWE live event in my hometown. Main event, I got to see Randy Orton versus Edge in, I think it was like May of 2010. So right before Edge's first run had to come to an end, I got to see him live, which was pretty sweet. So I just wanted to start a wrestling podcast. I thought, I always tell people if there's two things I know in life, it's karate and pro wrestling. I fell in love with both at around the same time. I started karate in 2009. I've been doing it ever since. I teach it full time. I train. I compete. But I've always been a fan of professional wrestling as well. I've had my love-hate relationship with WWE, as I think most of us long-term fans have, whether you still watch or not. I personally think right now the wrestling product as a whole has just gotten so much better. I think the birth of AEW played a key role in the production level increasing on the WWE side, I guess, for lack of a better phrase. But I think WWE is superior right now. I was watching AEW weekly for a few months, about 2 years ago, when the whole MJF and CM Punk feud was going down. I thought that was awesome. I loved it. Oh my god, I was tuning in every week. But I don't know. I'm just not much of an AEW fan anymore these days. I don't know what it is. The WWE programming is it's consistent. It's well thought out. These days it's planned well ahead. It just makes for a better product, in my opinion. Everyone's got their own opinions, but if there's any AEW marks listening, this might not be the podcast for you, because I will primarily be talking about WWE, because that is primarily what I've been watching lately. And unless AEW tends to get better, which I will start this show off by talking about AEW, because I did get the chance to see Collision live. So the Collision that just happened at the time of recording, so it would have been last night. I'm recording Sunday night. So Saturday, Collision, I got to go see in London. They came to London, Ontario, my hometown. So they did 40 minutes of a Ring of Honor show that's coming out, I think, on April 4th. And then they did an hour of Rampage after. So they pre-taped the Rampage episode for this week. So I'll talk a little bit about AEW, because it was a good show. Like I said, I haven't watched AEW consistently for a while, but it was my first live event at an AEW show. I just want to say, first of all, London, we killed it. We were hot through the entire night. It was a long 4 hours of wrestling, but we were hot throughout the whole entire show. So I just want to say, AEW, come back to London. We love you. We will have you back. There was an ROH match, singles match, between Lee Johnson, I believe, and Nick Comoroto. I had never seen Nick Comoroto before. I just looked him up, and he's done some matches in AEW before. He did a match with Darby Allin a couple years ago. But I thought it was hilarious. One fan in the front row ringside yells, "Shave your body," to Nick Comoroto, and Nick kind of looks at him and, shrugs him off. And then we get the whole arena chin, "Shave your body." Oh man, with the claps, it was so good. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I've never heard that chant before. I don't know if that's something that we do consistently with Nick Comoroto, but it was so much fun. I've never heard that chant before. I've tried to look it up. So I mean, like I said, I don't really know him very well. So if this is a Nick Camarado chant that is kind of tied with him, I wouldn't have known. But I thought it was hilarious. I'm going to talk about Collision first, though. We kick off the show with newly crowned TNT champion Adam Copeland with an open challenge. So London is about 2 hours from Toronto, so he's kind of making his hometown tour. He's making his rounds around the GTA. And who accepts the open challenge but Matt Cardona? Holy shit. Matt Cardona, the Indie King, the Deathmatch King. What is it, the Indie God or the Indie King? I don't know. WWE fans, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Ryder. So we know Adam Copeland and Matt Cardona have a little bit of a history back in the E when they were both. Well, when Matt was first starting his career, they were linked obviously as the Edgeheads. Him and Kurt Hawkins. I forget his indie wrestling name, but yeah, him and Kurt Hawkins were the Edgeheads. So this was a surprise. When I realized who was coming out, when I realized it was actually Matt Cardona, I popped hard as fuck. I got super excited. The whole arena was chanting, "Holy shit!" It was so sweet. Adam Copeland ended up retaining. Of course, he's not going to lose the belt to Matt Cardona in his first open title challenge. But it was a good opening match, fun opening match to start. Oh my goodness, what else happened on this? What was next? I know there were a couple tag matches, of course. Let me just look up I didn't take any notes for it, obviously, because I was there. I have notes for Raw and Smackdown this week. But anyways, the next match was a AEW World Tag Team Championship Tournament quarterfinal match between FTR and the Infantry. FTR end up beating the Infantry to move on to the semifinals of the tournament. Good match. It was cool to see FTR in person. I saw them in my first major event that I ever saw was Roadblock in 2016. They came to Toronto, and I got to see the Revival versus Enzo and Cass. Shout out Big Bill, who was also here tonight, that I also got to see again. But it had been a long time since I've seen these guys. I was young the first time I saw them. I think I was 13 or 14 when I saw them for the first time, and now just being able to see them 8 years later is pretty surreal. So good match. FTR ended up picking up the win. The next match was Kyle O'Reilly, which was very cool. I did not know he was going to be there, versus the Workhorsemen's J.D. Drake. Kyle O'Reilly takes the win. Yada yada yada. Undisputed Kingdom gets in the ring. Roderick Strong and I'm not sure who the two other guys are. But they come in and they throw Kyle up on their shoulders and celebrate. So a little bit of a happy ending there with this match. The next match, we had another AEW World Tag Team Championship quarterfinal match between Top Flight and Absolute Ricky Stark and Big Bill. So like I said, shout out Big Bill, because I saw this man perform the soft monologue 8 years ago. And now here he is teaming with Ricky Starks, another talker. Here he is paired up with Enzo Amore 8 years ago. Now here he is 8 years later with Ricky Starks. Top Flight took the win in this match, which surprised the hell out of me. I did not expect them to win. I expected, I feel like Ricky and Big Bill have been pretty hot recently. At least we were hot for them. The crowd was hot for them. But Top Flight took the win. But it looked like Ricky might have hurt himself. I don't know if it was a work or if it was part of the match. I didn't look back at the TV taping and listen into what they had to say about it. They didn't give us any information at the show, but maybe it looked like maybe his shoulder was out of place. I don't know. I don't know if that was supposed to happen. I don't know if Top Flight was actually supposed to get the win, but they did. They move on to the next round. Anyways, next we had Thunder Rosa versus Lady Frost. This was a pretty good match. I've never seen Lady Frost before, so this was a fun co-main event, I guess, to the show. Thunder Rosa gets the win, though, but Lady Frost did come to battle. She put up a tough fight. But yeah, anyways, good match. And then we get to the main event. I was super excited for this. As soon as I saw this match was announced, I was locked into this card because I wanted to see Bryan Danielson at least one more time before his career came to an end, and I'm so lucky that I got the chance to see him. It was Bryan Danielson, Claudio Castagnoli, and I don't want to butcher this. I don't know this guy very well either. Katsuyori Shibata. Katsuyori Shibata? Oh, God. Against Lance Archer and the Righteous Dutch and Vincent. So obviously the good guys win to close out the show. Bryan Danielson, Claudio, and Shibata take the W. After the match was over, or after the show was over, I guess, we got to see the hour of Rampage. And they told us to keep it a secret. They said, I don't know who the lady announcer is that comes and does the pre-show stuff in between commercial breaks, but she told us to keep it a secret because we get 6 days of extra 6 days in advance of from when the show is going to be out. It's going to be out Friday. So yeah, I'm going to keep my mouth shut because I'm a man of my word. Anyways, let's get into some WWE. So I would like to say the title of this podcast, This Is Awesome, is, I feel like it goes without saying, professional wrestling is back, baby. Professional wrestling is so back. We're going to start with the March 25th edition of Raw. They were live from Rosemont, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, Illinois. And we kicked the show off with Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out, kicks off the show. This was the Friday after... what happened last Friday? Oh my goodness, I can't even remember. Anyways, Cody comes out. He kicks off the show. He calls out Pat McAfee for having Roman Reigns in the podcast. Roman calls himself the GOAT. Cody also says that he hates Roman. He hates Roman Reigns even though he respects everything that he does. And then he asks the fans to ride with him, not just for tonight, but into WrestleMania, into night 1, and into night 2, so that if it is Bloodline rules, he knows he can at least count on the fans. What a babyface. What just a pure, well-established babyface that will turn heel, and the fans will turn against him as soon as he gets the belt. But the thing with Cody Rhodes is this man is an awesome heel. And with the way the WWE is going right now, I think if you turn him heel, I think we as an audience are in for a treat. We saw what happened in AEW when the fans didn't necessarily treat him the right way. We got one of the best versions of Cody that personally I've ever seen. So if the fans do turn on him, at least we know there is a safe plan. There's a backup plan. Heel Cody is going to be insane. But for the time being, everyone is so under Cody. Like, it is crazy. They love him. It's just so natural. He comes about it so easily. You know, he's a man of the people. He's a politician, like Brock and Roman have called him. He's a politician, but he does it for the right reasons, and he gets the job done. All of a sudden, while Cody is asking the fans to have his back and to ride with him into WrestleMania, The Rock comes out. The Rock's music hits. The Rock is in Chicago. Shout out, This Is Awesome chant during this segment. Thought it was cool that the first episode that I actually ever took notes on for the This Is Awesome show, in the very first segment, there is a This Is Awesome chant. I feel like it just amplifies this show even more to show how good the product is right now. I mean, The Rock didn't even say anything. He got in the ring, stared Cody down, and there was already This Is Awesome chants. The Rock slowly walks up to Cody in the middle of the ring, leans in, and whispers something that no one knows. No one knows what he says. As we found out later, though, he told him, "Tonight, I'm going to make you bleed." And he did. But more on that later. The segment ends with Rock walking out. They get Rock backstage, and they ask him, "What did you tell Cody?" And he says, "Go ask Cody Rhodes." And so we do later on. But before that, We get a Judgment Day backstage segment, which the only reason I'm bringing this up is because I thought it was hilarious. Rhea Ripley tells JD McDonough to go win something, which is kind of hilarious. I like that the whole dynamic with the Judgment Day is if you're not winning your matches, you're almost getting shunned. You're getting bullied by the other members of the group. It's awesome. That's what all heel stables should be doing, at least main event stable, like main event tier stables should be doing to the other members if they aren't winning. So nice touch there. First match of the night, we had Ricochet and JD McDonough. McDonough with the water spit in his entrance, with the Triple H water spit. That was pretty cool. I like that. JD McDonough's got incredible in-ring ability. He sells second to best behind Dolph Ziggler, in my opinion, as like a modern day wrestler. JD McDonough can sell anything. He can make anything look good. Ricochet growls at one point in this match and then hits the one-leg code breaker for a near fall. JD McDonough ends up kicking out. And then Ricochet ends up hitting a crazy destroyer. JD kind of pulls him up by the arm, and Ricochet gets his legs over the shoulders and flips into the destroyer, which was insane. Dominic ends up breaking up the pin there to save the match for JD, and Dom ends up getting thrown out. He got thrown out of there. He got thrown out of the match. Ricochet ends up winning with a shooting star press on a standing JD, which was quite the cool look. I like that. The standing or the shooting star press onto the standing opponent is sweet. And of course, Mommy is disappointed. Rhea Ripley's not happy that JD once again did not win something. Anyways, on to the next segment now. CM Punk is in Chicago. Of course, he was announced for this show weeks in advance, because what would a 2024 WWE show be without CM Punk in Chicago? You know what I mean? So Punk comes out. He addresses the obvious. Will CM Punk be at WrestleMania? Because he had already stated, due to the tricep injury, he will not be competing at the show of shows this year. But will he be there? While he's asking this question, Punk calls out Roman, Seth, The Rock. He calls out Drew. Punk is just hitting the mic with these fire lines. He's spitting out insults. And then finally, Drew McIntyre comes out. As soon as his name is mentioned, you know Drew is backstage just ready to get out there. And they just started ripping on each other. Punk says he never had to put another man's name on a T-shirt to sell it, which I thought was a good line. You know, Drew McIntyre was wearing the R.I.P. CM Punk T-shirt, the graveyard T-shirt. Drew hits him back with a bicep dig, and says that Punk is his muse. You know, he prayed for this. He is his addiction. Drew ends up sitting on the commentary table, and the cameraman starts to come around, and Drew goes, what does he say? He tells him to get out of his kilt. The cameraman gets out of his kilt. He doesn't want, the perverts of Chicago to be able to see up his dress. Drew McIntyre was pointing out the fact that he is the chosen one, and CM Punk hit the most ferocious line of the evening. Who chose you? Say his name. Who chose you, Drew? Obviously referring to Vince McMahon. That was gold. That was awesome. Punk got him good. He trapped him in a corner. Drew offers CM Punk be a guest commentator at WrestleMania. He says he would like that because he wants Punk to be front row seat when he wins the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania. This brings out Seth Rollins. This segment has just become a three-way of heaters off the microphone. Seth goes straight into the ring, straight for Punk. When Seth comes out, Punk is miserable. He's, he doesn't like the man. They don't like each other. So Seth spits on CM Punk with this promo. He lets the crowd decide if Punk should be the guest commentator, and the crowd ends up saying referee. They want Punk to be the referee. Seth Rollins says, I don't know if you guys know this, referencing CM Punk's torn tricep. He goes, That's his counting hand. And then Punk immediately drops to his stomach and hits the most crisp, pure referee left hand form you've ever seen in your entire life. 1, 2, 3. Gets a round of applause from the audience. Punk is a legend. Eventually, Seth agrees to let Punk do commentary at the show of shows. And Punk ends up dropping the mic on Seth's head. So Seth ends up hitting Drew with a super kick as Drew comes in to stop Punk's music. So that puts that segment to an end. Up next, we had a backstage promo with Shinsuke Nakamura. I think we can all agree this is the worst version of Shinsuke that we've ever seen. When I was watching it on Monday night, the only thing I could think was, wow, this is the McDonald's version of Shinsuke Nakamura. I noticed on Friday too with Io's segment there. I think WWE is trying to give into the whole like anime, like the whole anime like resurgence, I guess. I don't know if you would call it a resurgence, but anime is blowing up, and I think WWE is trying to take advantage of that. I think they're trying to make their Japanese superstars a little more marketable for that audience. But it's so sad. It's the King of Strong style, you know. Anyways, we get a little promo for WrestleMania. Meek Mill is dropping little promos, dreams and nightmares that he'll be in Philadelphia. I hope he does some sort of like performance. That would be sick. Anyways, up next we get Ivy Nile versus Candice LeRae. Both women get jobber entrances. We find out later on that because the opening segment went so long that they had to cut a lot of the entrances on this show, so I'll allow it for this time only. Candice ends up hitting Maxine Dupree on the apron. Maxine is cornering Ivy Nile. And then Candice ends up playing possum to give Indy Hartwell the opportunity to attack Ivy Nile behind the referee's back. Candice starts selling her knee to the referee. The referee's checking on her. She ends up being okay. As soon as Indy doesn't attack her, Candice grabs Ivy, rolls her up for the win. 1, 2, 3. Super dirty win. Candice LeRae's new just, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll say whatever I need to say to win. This new character that she's got is super intriguing. I can't wait to see what they do with it. Indy does not seem to like this version of Candice LeRae, so I'm guessing maybe they'll do something with a little feud between the two of them. Maybe Candice will, I don't know, maybe her and Candice will have a big blow-off match, big Extreme Rules match or something. We'll see. But anyways, backstage segment, we got the New Day and DIY. R-Truth and The Miz come out to meet these two teams in the back. R-Truth is a national treasure. Truth calls Pat McAfee JBL, and I thought that was super hilarious. Anyways, next in the ring we get New Day versus DIY with the Awesome Truth on commentary. They can't let this ever happen again because R-Truth is way too distracting on commentary. I could not focus on this match. I was just listening to this man talk. Gargano ends up hitting a suicide dive on Kofi and Xavier before Damian Priest comes out and hits the big boot on Johnny Gargano, ending the match in a disqualification. Judgment Day comes out and assaults both teams. The Miz ends up coming in the ring off the commentary table and gets beaten down. The Judgment Day end up approaching R-Truth at the commentary table, and he goes, "Oh, no, I'm a commentator. I'm a commentator. I got nothing to do with this. I'm on commentary tonight. I'm not in the match." Begging, pleading for his life to be not ended in this moment. Truth ends up hulking up. Truth hulks up, but ends up getting destroyed. He ends up getting beat down. He ends up beating a few of them down, but ultimately the Judgment Day comes out on top. Anyways, next we have another backstage interview with Gunther. Gunther says he doesn't sweat Sammy, and he doesn't even believe that Sammy can beat Bronson Reed tonight. let alone beat him for the Intercontinental Championship at WrestleMania. Next up, we have a match between Andrade and Giovanni Vinci. In Andrade's return to the ring, this is Andrade's first singles match since returning at the Royal Rumble. I've always been a huge Andrade fan. He's doing all of his big moves tonight. He's getting all the hits in, as I like to say. Vinci ends up slapping the hell out of Andrade. Just the noise on it was amazing. You can tell that Gunther teaches these guys a thing or two about how to slap the hell out of how to slap the hell out of your opponents. Andrade ends up hitting the spinning elbow. I love the big boot fake into the spinning elbow. Just looks so clean when he does it, and ends up finishing him off with the Message, which is Andrade's new finisher. Michael Cole says on commentary that it is called the Message. So Andrade picks up his win against Giovanni Vinci in a pretty decent match. Rhea and Dom come out to the ring now. Rhea Ripley comes out to cut a promo. Rhea's just talking about how she's concerned that she's not getting all of Becky Lynch's attention. You know, the last few weeks, Becky's been in a last woman standing match against Nia Jax. She's been taking on all challengers to, prove her worth to the WWE Universe. Rhea says that she's being respectful. And eventually when Dom gets on the mic, he just ends up getting booed. Becky comes out. Becky says Rhea doesn't even wrestle on Raw. Rhea says all she has to do to stay relevant is to post a picture on the internet, and these disgusting freak show fans will eat it up. And it's true. She is not wrong at all. Most wrestling fans just will absolutely eat that alive. So she's not wrong at all. Becky praises herself. She gives herself some. I can't stand Becky on the mic. I'm so sorry. I can't stand her on the mic. It feels like she's trying way too hard. But Rhea ends up calling her, or Becky ends up calling herself a cockroach. I put it in my notes, cockroach. Someone ends up calling Becky a cockroach, whether it's Becky herself or Rhea. But either way, I believe it was Rhea, because she goes, "You remind me of a cockroach, because while you are incredibly difficult to kill, it's not impossible." Rhea ends up mentioning Becky's daughter, Rue. That's not nice. That's not nice. Becky gets heated. Becky ends up punching Dom clean in the jaw. Like, knuckles connected. They even showed the replay in slow-mo. They actually showed the connection of her fist to his chin. That was a good punch. Dom took it well. Rhea ends up taking out Becky. And yeah, I can't wait for this WrestleMania match. I think it'll be a good match, because while I can't stand Becky on the mic, she is a good in-ring performer. I think these two are going to make some magic at WrestleMania. I just really hope Rhea retains. I don't want to see Becky as champion anymore. I'm sorry. I can't take it. She's just, and until they get her something new, I can't do it. I don't like it. I don't like it anymore. Backstage, we have Sami Zayn and Chad Gable. Chad Gable tells Sami to get his head out of his ass. Get your head out of your ass. This is Gunther. This is the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. This is what he does. He plays the mind games. He's going to tell you that he doesn't think you can do this or that, but you got to keep your head straight, So anyways, up next, we get Big Bronson Reed versus Sami Zayn. Oh, by the way, the Slammies are back. Shout out Michael Cole said that on commentary. The Slammies are back. There was a graphic tonight a couple of times where you can vote for the Slammies, which is pretty cool. I like that they're doing that. They changed it up a little bit. Usually they do it at the end of the year. Now it looks like they're doing it at WrestleMania season, which is kind of a nice little touch. It's in the same season as the Grammys and the Oscars, I guess. It's about a month after, which makes a little bit more sense in terms of how the Slammies are conducted. So anyways, halfway through this match, Gunther comes down the ramp to watch. Sammy's having trouble with Bronson. He's just too big. Bronson is just too big of a man. Too much meat on this man's body. Gunther comes down, gets in Sammy's head. Bronson ends up beating Sami Zayn. I get it in terms of the story. I get that, Gunther is going to do whatever he can to get into Sammy's head to make him doubt himself. And obviously it's working. After the match, we get a backstage segment with Sammy and Chad. I want to see Coach Chad. I want to see Coach Chad get Sammy to the level he needs to be at to beat Gunther. Chad has been everyone's pick to beat Gunther, I think, for the Intercontinental title. And now that he's not getting the match at WrestleMania, I think it would be awesome to see Chad be a part of the reason why Gunther loses the belt. It just tells a big story with the three of them, with Sammy and Chad having the awesome final match of the Gauntlet last week on Raw. And then now Chad and Sammy ultimately kind of teaming up against Gunther. I think that would be a lot of fun. But I also would not be mad if Gunther retained against Sammy at WrestleMania. I don't know. Here's what my idea was for Gunther's WrestleMania. Dominic and Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Dominic takes the belt off of him. Unlimited heat for the rest of his career. I think that would have been incredible. Instead, we got the match on Raw. Gunther beat him. But could you imagine if Dominic Mysterio was the one to beat Gunther's record-breaking title reign? I just think that would have been the best. That would have given Dominic infinite heat for the rest of his career. But clearly, he does not need it. Anyways, next up, we get a backstage segment with Jey Uso. This was actually before the Sammy and Chad segment, but Jey Uso is having a backstage interview. All of a sudden, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso start to creep in. This feud feels a little weird to me. It feels a little bit forced. I feel like there's not really an organic story being developed between these two, for a brother versus brother match. We don't have that, that thing that just kind of sets both guys off. It seems like they're kind of just both interfering with each other's lives. At least when we got Matt and Jeff at WrestleMania 25. What Matt killed his dog, he burned his house down. There was so much shit that went on between them. It made it so much more interesting, but this just feels a little forced. If these guys are having a blood feud at WrestleMania, brother versus brother, wouldn't you think that Jimmy coming up to Jay in a backstage interview would impose some kind of, brawl to happen, or something other than just a stink eye stare down? I don't know. Doesn't feel totally organic to me. I know the match is going to be great. I know this is something that both guys have wanted to do for a long time, and I'm super excited to be able to see it. I just wish they gave him a little bit more to work with. Anyways, so this is leading into the main event now. Jey Uso versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Before they go out, Seth is backstage with Jey. And Seth goes, something don't feel right. Something don't feel right, man. He tells Jey that, if something were to happen, me and Cody got your back, just in case. Something doesn't feel right. So I don't know what sense Seth has. I don't know if he's heard something or if he's seen something, or if he smells something. Maybe he can smell what The Rock is cooking. No? Okay. Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. Anyways, during the match, Jimmy ends up coming out. Seth and Cody jump right onto them, saving the day for Jey. Drew McIntyre ends up coming out as well and attacks Seth on the outside of the ring. So Seth throws Solo out of the arena through over the barricade into the crowd. Drew comes out, hits a Future Shock DDT on the outside to the World Heavyweight Champion. Cody and Jimmy start fighting backstage. They go all the way to the backstage area. And then The Rock comes out and jumps Cody. This is where all hell breaks loose. So The Rock starts throwing him into anything he can find backstage. Into, I don't even know what you call it, but like the like the backstage trunks, I guess, like the big boxes that they have. He throws Cody into those, hits him in the head with a trash can, ends up throwing him outside into the rain. It's rainy Chicago. The Rock brings him outside, throws his head into the side of the American Nightmare bus. Cody Rhodes ends up bleeding. Holy shit. Cody's bleeding. The Rock grabs Cody. He pulls out the Mama Rhodes belt, says, "Mama Rhodes, I told you I would put your son's blood on this belt." He takes Cody's blood, smears it off his forehead, puts it on the belt for Mama Rhodes, for WrestleMania. The Rock tells Cody that he will show him hard times. Because forever, Cody and The Rock are going to have hard times. Because this is what happens when you fuck with the final boss. That's what The Rock says, live on Raw. I went, oh my God, he dropped the F-bomb. The Attitude Era is back. Wrestling is so back, guys. Wrestling is so back. Anyways, the show ends with, The Rock just beating the crap out of Cody. Later on, there was a clip that was released on The Rock's Instagram of them, cutting the show. The Rock goes, "I don't give a fuck about your cut." I forget what he said, but cut my ass or whatever it was. My ass. This is not how it's ending. This is not how it's gonna finish. But anyways, that's how the show ends. So crazy Raw. I saw a lot of people online saying this was the best Raw they've seen in 20 years, and I'm so happy that this is the first episode of Raw that I watched with the podcast. I think that this is a perfect way to set up the show. This is awesome. I sat through the entire 3 hours. I wished it went longer. I wished that we could get a 3.5 hour, 4 hour Raw. I'm not going to wish for that because, for the last 10 years, the 3 hour Raw was completely ass to sit through. But, now it's getting better. It's getting a lot better. They figured out how to, work the timing and how to make it, interesting for the entire show, which it makes it a very easy watch. And, great Raw. Great Raw. Let's move on to Smackdown now. So we're going to finish off the episode with this week's Smackdown from March 29th. They're at the Mohegan Sun Arena. The show kicks off with Pretty Deadly versus Randy Orton and Kevin Owens in a tag team match. One of the graphics that it said at the bottom of the screen when Randy Orton and Kevin Owens were coming out, it said, "Punched both members of Pretty Deadly with one punch." I don't know. I just thought that was funny. We get an advertisement for WWE Speed, which is their new show on X that will be coming out. 3-minute matches. We'll see how this goes. I think they're going to be introducing a new championship for this match too, maybe a new 24/7 title type thing. Maybe the Speed belt. I don't know. But anyway, Randy Orton goes outside of the announce table with Pretty Deadly. I think he's going to hit him with what he hit, who was it? The Singh brothers against Jinder Mahal. He hit them with the double back suplex on the announce table. That doesn't happen. Logan Paul comes out and hits Kevin Owens with brass knuckles to cost them the match. Randy's busy on the outside. He doesn't see Logan Paul come into the ring. All he sees is Owens knocked out, getting pinned. So Orton comes into the ring, obviously upset with what happened in the match. Randy ends up seeing the replay of what happened, of Logan Paul coming out from under the ring and knocking out Kevin Owens. So Orton looks at it, starts to look around, looks under the ring, and he's going to go on a hunt. So Randy Orton takes Logan Paul from out of the ring, ends up chasing Logan out of the arena. This was a good way to set up their triple threat. I hope Logan retains at WrestleMania. I like him as U.S. champion. I think he's one of the best chicken shit heels in the business right now. He understands this industry and he knows his role and he's playing it perfectly. There's a lot of history with him and KO already with the whole brass knuckle thing at the Royal Rumble. So I like that they're keeping that involved. And then with the addition of Randy Orton, it's just going to make for a hell of a triple threat match. I'm super excited for that. Anyways, we get a backstage segment with Io Sky. Like I said earlier, they're trying to play off with the whole, Anna Mayhem takeover kind of thing. She says Bayley was never the true leader of Damage Control, and Bayley only took them in because Bayley needed to be elevated. And so bringing in Dakota and Io was Bayley's way of resurging herself into stardom. During the backstage segment, Bayley comes in and just absolutely wrecks Io, throws her through the green screen. They're just fighting off into the backstage area. This is going to be a good match. This is probably the best women's storyline that we've got going into WrestleMania. Obviously, I'm excited to see Bayley win against Io. Io's been quite the underwhelming champion since she won it, and I think this is all just set up for Bayley to win. I mean, if it's not, then WWE, what are you doing? Anyways, next we have Nick Aldis in the ring, the general manager of SmackDown, and Nick Aldis is here to introduce SmackDown's newest signing, Jade Cargill. So we get Jade Cargill's first entrance as a SmackDown superstar. The remix that they have for her theme song from her AEW theme is sweet. I love it. Her whole entrance, just her aura that she brings, the whole, with her biceps and her shoulders popping. It's like, holy my God, she is going to be a star. She's going to be an absolute star one day. She does need a mouthpiece. She needs a manager. I don't think her promo skills are quite there yet, but it'll be interesting to see where they go with we'll get to the end of the show where they set up the 6-woman tag match at WrestleMania, but I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with Jade and how long it takes for them to put a belt on her, and how they can, get her to that next level of becoming an actual WWE superstar, Very interesting. Up next, we get a backstage segment with Nick Aldis. Very weird. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire have a weird interaction with him. I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen because he did the same. So we're just going to brush past that. AJ Styles runs into Nick Aldis backstage and wants to make sure that LA Knight is not here tonight. Nick Aldis promises him LA Knight is not here. So, of course, we know LA Knight is in the building. Of course. Next match, we get the Street Profits versus Grayson Waller and Austin Theory in a tag team match for the 6-Pack Challenge qualifier. The winner of this match will go on to the ladder match at WrestleMania for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. Angelo Dawkins ends up pouncing Grayson Waller over the announce table like a beast. I love the Angelo Dawkins pounce. I think it's one of the best in the business. Anyways, the Street Profits start to pick up steam. They're about to win when on the Titantron we see Bobby Lashley and who's the girl from? Oh my God, I have not been watching weekly wrestling for so long. B-Fab. Is it B-Fab that is with them now? Bobby Lashley, B-Fab were found backstage beaten up when it pans to Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross ended up destroying their backstage area with Scarlett. So this allows Austin Theory to steal the win from the Street Profits. So Austin Theory and Grayson Waller topple the Street Profits to go to WrestleMania to compete in the ladder match. Interesting to see where this goes. Next, we get the Authors of Pain coming out to assault the Street Profits in the ring. Karrion Kross comes out to join them. It looks like they're a new faction, the AOP and Karrion Kross with Paul Ellering and Scarlett. I think that's a pretty cool pairing. I'm interested to see what they can do with them. But Bobby Lashley ends up coming out and gets just absolutely beaten down. I mean, he just absorbed a backstage assault, and now he's limping down to the ring against 3 other dudes, 3 big dudes, might I add. I know Bobby Lashley is a big boy, but 3 big dudes against 1 big dude. Who do you think is going to win? It's going to be the 3 big dudes. Anyways, next up, we get Legado del Fantasma in the ring. So we get Santos Escobar, Angel, and Humberto. Santos says that he beat the GOAT last week on SmackDown. Obviously referring to when Santos beat Rey Mysterio 1, 2, 3 in the ring with the help of Dominic Mysterio. He also announces his alignment with Dominic Mysterio. Santos says that Dom was right the whole time about Rey, about being the deadbeat dad that he was. Every time Dominic tries to put his mouth to the microphone, he gets absolutely blasted out of the building. Constant boos. It's incredible. The man has had incredible heel heat for the better part of a year and a half, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. Rey Mysterio ends up coming out with the LWO, so we now have a 5-on-5 stare down because we have Dom, Santos, Angel, Humberto, and then the girl's name, Elektra Lopez, I just saw here. The 5 of them against Rey, Carlito, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Phoenix, Joaquin Wild, I think his name is, whatever, and Zelina Vega. So it's the 5-on-5 stare down. Rey Mysterio challenges Dom and Santos to a tag team match against him and a partner of his choosing. We think it's going to be Carlito. It ends up being the newest member of the LWO, Dragon Lee. Interesting. Maybe we might see a little Carlito heel turning on Rey, because it looked like Carlito was pretty emotionally invested in this segment. I don't know if this was legit or not, or if this was part of the segment, but the fans were chanting Carlito, and he seemed to be getting a little emotional due to that reaction. So, I mean, I hope to see something bigger with Carlito, because so far since he's made his return, nothing too crazy outside from this whole LWO thing has come of him and his character. So I hope we get something bigger with him eventually. Maybe a Carlito and Rey Mysterio match at SummerSlam. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. The LWO ends up clearing the ring after Zelina ends up slapping Elektra Lopez in the face. This pretty much ends the segment there. So we're getting Rey and Dom 2 at WrestleMania, which I'm happy with. If they're not going to do Dom and Gunther, they might as well be doing this again, because it worked last year. It'll work again this year with the inclusion of Santos in the LWO. There's a lot more depth to the story. Just makes it that much better. Next, we get a backstage segment with Naomi and Bianca Belair. Naomi has EST in her hair, which I think is incredible. She is basically Bianca's number one fan at this point, and just super happy to be aligned with the top star in the women's division, in my opinion. Anyways, next we have a tag team match, another match to determine who will be entering, the final team to be entering the six-pack challenge at WrestleMania for the tag titles. Legado del Fantasma, after just getting beat up, versus the New Catch Republic, the team of Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. Wade Barrett on commentary just could not stop saying how unfair this was for Legado del Fantasma to be having to compete immediately after getting beaten down, which I agree, Wade. I agree. Super not fair. But anyways, the New Catch Republic win the match. They're going to WrestleMania. Their double burning hammer as a tag finisher is sweet. I love it. I think New Catch Republic has a lot of potential to be one of the best tag teams on SmackDown. Obviously, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate are two of the best talents, not only from the UK, but in general. So I think they've got a lot of potential as a tag team. I'm happy to see them paired up on the main roster. And I think they'll do I think they'll turn some heads at WrestleMania. I think if anybody is not really aware of who they are, they will be after this year's WrestleMania. Anyways, next we get a backstage segment with Paul Heyman, Jimmy Uso, Solo Sikoa. Heyman ends up telling the people that the Tribal Chief ordered The Rock to beat down Cody on Raw. This was Roman's doing, and that The Rock didn't do it on his own. He actually took orders from the head of the table himself. We find out that Solo Sikoa and Jey Uso are going to go one-on-one next week, which will be an exciting match. This should be a lot of fun. Next, we get AJ Styles in the ring for a segment. AJ Styles comes out and blames LA Knight's outbursts on the fans. So we're starting to see a little bit of a heel AJ Styles turning against the audience because he says that they have given LA Knight the ego boost and the confidence to say and do whatever he wants, even though he thinks LA Knight is not deserving. AJ Styles comes out. He starts harassing the cameraman. He says, LA Knight could be anywhere in this building. Is he the cameraman? The cameraman starts harassing the cameraman. He goes to the outside of the ring. A fan comes out and tries to attack AJ Styles. We thought it was LA Knight. Turns out to just be a fan. So he gets thrown out. Security throws him out right away. LA Knight is dressed as a security guard to sneak attack AJ Styles, which, I mean, a little bit of, and I some people on Instagram I saw pick this up this week. LA Knight's first on-screen appearance in WWE was as a security guard, probably 10 years ago, however many years, 8 years ago. So cool little callback to that moment there. LA Knight gets on the table, says his thing, yada, yada, yada. This dude is so over. The crowd can't get enough of him still. I'm surprised that he has not won a title yet. I'm surprised that he's not involved with the U.S. Championship. But this program with AJ has caught my attention for just a straight singles match at WrestleMania between two older guys that aren't really, in the title picture, I guess. This is going to be a good match. This is a good way to get both these guys in the card. And it should be a lot of fun. The way I like to see this is it's like a TNA runoff. I mean, it's AJ and LA who were the, Eli Drake was one of the stars of TNA in the mid 2010s. When AJ was gone, when he was making his run in WWE as the WWE champion. So there's a lot of like organic. I use the word a lot. Organic. Concepts in this match. It just feels very natural, which I love. I love that in my wrestling, when it just feels natural and not forced. Anyways, next up we get the main event, Bianca Belair versus Dakota Kai. Dakota with the hair-based offense. Dakota comes in and is just trying to yank Bianca's braid apart. She's pulling her braid through her legs. She's, using the hair in any way that she can gain an upper hand. Dakota Kai ends up smashing her injured knee into the ring post, which gives Bianca the opportunity to hit the Cesaro suplex. I call it the Cesaro suplex because the first time I saw this move done was the night after WrestleMania 30 when I believe he did it on Jack Swagger. Or somebody. No, it wouldn't have been Jack because they were aligned at the time. It was somebody, but Cesaro did the oh my God, what do you call it? The deadlift suplex over the top rope. Bianca hit one on Dakota Kai. Looked great. Anyways, the Kabuki Warriors come out to assault Bianca. I don't even think this match ended. I think it might have ended in a DQ. I don't even remember. I didn't take any notes on it. But the Kabuki Warriors come out to assault Bianca. Out comes Naomi, and then out comes Jade Cargill. So this is going to set up the 6-woman tag team match at WrestleMania. We get Jade Cargill teaming up with Naomi and Bianca Belair to take on Damage Control, the Kabuki Warriors, and Dakota Kai. This should be an awesome match. This is a great way to get Jade onto the WrestleMania card and to show her off to all the fans who may not know who she is or what she can do in the ring. I'm excited to see what kind of improvements she's made. I'm excited to see what kind of energy and what kind of aura she can bring to a WrestleMania stage, because I feel like this is a big test for her to see if she is truly the star that everybody makes her out to be. So anyways, those are my reviews of SmackDown and Raw for this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys will tune into the next episode. Don't forget to follow the podcast, give it 5 stars, follow Instagram. This is awesome PW on Instagram. Subscribe to a YouTube channel. I'll be posting shorts and reels and stuff, so you guys don't miss an episode. Anyways, thank you very much, and I will see you guys next week.